Is Amy? Okay, great. There we go. For those of you that are new to Women in Film San Francisco Bay Area, we are a volunteer nonprofit organization that actively provides networking, educational, and social opportunities for over 10,000 people in film, television, and digital media in San Francisco and in the Bay Area and beyond. Our mission is to empower, promote, and celebrate women's creative work. And if you're interested in joining, you can click on the link that we've placed in the chat. And I would like to say thank you to our Women in Film San Francisco Bay Area Board of Directors, because without them, this would not be happening today. Diane Walsh, Carol Hall, Neil Inurndam, Kelly White, Nicole Carlson, Amy Zen, Darlene DeRosa, and myself. Thank you so much for choosing to spend your a little bit of your afternoon with us. We really appreciate it. And a special thank you to Amy Zen for handling our tech today and monitoring questions. And we truly appreciate everyone's support. Before you get started, I have to go over a little bit of housekeeping, Zoom mechanics. So during today's session, please type your questions for Philip Shane into the chat if they're more of a complex question. And feel free to unmute and speak up if Shane happens to call on you, because this is an interactive workshop. And please use the raise hand icon at the bottom of your Zoom so that your moderator can call on you. If you want to save the chat at the very end, you can do so by clicking on the three dots at the bottom of the screen and then click Save Chat. There'll be some leaflets at the end, so make sure that you save the chat. Also, to avoid any sound issues, please mute your audio down. So if everybody can mute. You can put your view on speaker if you'd rather a better viewing. And as for questions, when you're called upon to ask questions, Amy will let you know that it's your turn for the more complex questions. And that's it for housekeeping. I'd also like to say a very special thank you to our community partners, because without them, again, these kind of events that we throw in these workshops, they would not happen. So a big shout out to our video industry networking event, Women in Film US, California Film Institute, New York Women in Film and Television, Women in Film Video, New England. And these partners are vital to our outreach and expansion. We really thank you and your generosity and your support in promoting this thing for us. I see it all over, so I really know how much and how hard everybody works at this. So thank you. We really appreciate it. This afternoon, I have the honor of introducing the extraordinary Philip Shane. He's an award-winning filmmaker. He's also my friend. And with over 3 decades of experience in the industry, he's known for innovative storytelling and production techniques. Shane's notable work includes Being Elmo, which earned a special jury prize at the 2011 Sundance Film Festival, and The Sabbath Queen, which is set to premiere at this year's 2020 Tribeca Film Festival. I'm so thrilled about that. I can't wait to see that film. And then he also has other films like Einstein, further showcase his expertise in both documentary and narrative filmmaking. And beyond his filmmaking, Shane is deeply involved in exploring inner sections of technology and storytelling. And he even has a podcast called What the If. He conducts interactive workshops and explores use of artificial intelligence across all stages in film and production. And from, coming up ideas, he comes up with the different ideas in different research, pre-production, post-production, and marketing, how to market your film, how to market. Today we'll be inspired by his rich knowledge as we, dive into a Q&A session with Shane. And I now have the pleasure of introducing my friend, an amazing human, Mr. Philip Shane. We're so happy to have you here today. And I am so happy that I am now done talking, because my blower is here and they're going to blow my yard. So I'm putting myself on mute right now so I don't bug the hell out of you. And thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Julie. Thank you for that. And thank you everyone for having me as your guest today. So I'm very excited to be here. And as Julie mentioned, well, that was a spectacular dismount that Julie just did. That was fantastic. Yes. um, so what I'm going to do is show you kind of, there's so much going on in AI these days, as I'm sure you're well aware. There's far more than we could fit in even in many, many hours of sessions. But I wanted to give everyone sort of just a quick look at maybe the highlights, kind of what seem to be the very best, the best of the best, and the things that would be sort of maybe the most interesting to us as filmmakers. So I'm going to show you, I'm going to share my screen. And I'm just going to start off by, oh, actually, let me redo that one second so I include the sound, which is important, and video. Okay, so do you see just like a text document now, like a PDF that's showing? Yeah, so no
Very,
need,
oh, there we
what's
go.
that? You see it now?
It was blurry. It's good now.
Okay, cool. No need to digest this document in the slightest. I'm just giving you a quick overview. This is about 14 or 15 of sort of the most interesting AI websites that are out there now, of many thousands that exist. You will get this PDF document. I think it was uploaded to the chat earlier, but I think we're going to upload it again at the end so people can just have it. You can take it with you, and on your own, you can go explore some of the additional sites that we may not get to today. But if you see something on there, if you happen to look at it and you do see something on there that I don't cover at some point during the session, go ahead and ask a question, and I'm happy to take a peek at it. So, there are basically, I think the easiest way to get handle on all the different artificial intelligence websites that are out there now is to just think of them in terms of the medium that they work in. So there are some that allow you to generate art, still images. We'll look at those later. There are some that allow you to generate video animations. They're kind of crude, but they get better all the time. We'll take a look at that. There are some that help you with search. There are others that help you with improving audio quality. And then, of course, there's kind of the ones that kick-started it all in a way, the large language models, the text-based artificial intelligence websites like ChatGPT. And so I'm going to let's start by taking a look at our old friend, ChatGPT. I'm curious if how many people have, if you just physically raise your hand, I'm curious how many people have used ChatGPT before, or any of the websites. Okay, so lots of people. Great. So you're aware of a bunch of things, I'm not sure. Everyone probably has experimented with different kinds of things that they can do with ChatGPT. It is practically endless, the different things you could do. Let me just show you a few examples of some of the things I've done with it that sort of, again, scratch the surface, but
Shane, while you're taking a sip, this is
yeah,
Amy. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but there
that's
have
right.
been a request to ask if you can actually make the text a little larger so
Yeah,
people can see. For some of us on laptops, it's very tiny. Thank you
yeah.
so very much.
I'm with you. I am always doing that. Is that better? Cool.
Yes.
All right. So let's just take a quick look. I'm going to race through this stuff, and so we can get a quick overview of all these things. And again, any things you want me to come back to and look at it in more depth, we can do that. So let's start ChatGPT, the granddaddy of them all. As you know, probably there are paid versions and unpaid, free versions of ChatGPT. As far as I'm concerned, the paid version is the only one that's really worth using. The free version of ChatGPT gives you what's called GPT 3.5. The paid version gives you version 4, even though that's a small increment from 0.5 to 3.5 to 4, it's like an insane leap in terms of quality. So ChatGPT 4 is really the thing to use if you can. I will say there are other large language models out there, all of which also offer free versions and paid versions. They're all pretty good. So I'm not saying that ChatGPT is the best of all the large language models. Each one has a different plus and minus about them, but it's a good one. Another nice thing about ChatGPT is it includes the ability to also make images within ChatGPT. You don't have to go to a separate program, and it can go to the internet, which not all of them can. So let me just look at one thing here. I'll show you real quick. One thing that I do is, so I have a podcast, as Julie mentioned, and one thing I need to do whenever I have a podcast, and this could apply to if you have a film, let's say you have a film that's got a screening coming up, and you want to put out the word on Twitter, and I will call it Twitter because I like that better than the new name. And you can do things like upload. So I would like ChatGPT to write some tweets for me, right? Promoting my show. And so one way to do that is to upload a transcript of the entire show. So you can, as you know, there's very easy to get a transcript of anything these days. And you just take a text document and I upload it. And you can see here, I asked ChatGPT, I said, I'm uploading here the transcript of a new show of our podcast. And then I said, don't stop until you've completed all the instructions below, just because sometimes it has a tendency to do that. And then I simply asked it, based solely on the material you see in the middle of the transcript, which is where the important material was, write 7 tweets about the episode, don't use quotes or hashtags, and end every tweet with, quote, listen now at whattheif.com, which is the website. Number 2, based solely on material you see in the middle of the transcript, also write one Instagram post about the podcast episode and do the same thing. And then instantly, it gives me all these tweets. And I got to say, they're really good. In the early days of ChatGPT, it wasn't as good. Well, in the first try, this does a pretty good job. And the thing, what I can tell you is something you wouldn't know because I actually know the content of the show. I can say that these are directly related to the content of the show. And it also has the extraordinary ability to really grasp what the show was. So what I did was on this particular episode of the podcast, I used AI. It's a whole another story, which I could tell you about another time. But I basically used AI to allow me to pretend like I was interviewing the computer on the Star Trek, on the Enterprise, the ship of the Star Trek, on Star Trek. And so here's the first tweet. Today's episode delves into the contrasting styles of ChatGPT and the Star Trek computer, showcasing the balance of humor and efficiency when faced with high stakes decisions. Listen now. Actually, the first time I'm realizing now, actually, the first time it did it, I didn't like the answers. Okay. So then, and this is an important thing, when you work with AI and you work with ChatGPT and any AI, you have to do go back and forth with it. And that's one, I would call that one, human survival. In other words, we'll always need to be there to correct the AI, at least for a little while longer. Good thing. But the other thing is that if you depend on the AI to simply give you something, like sometimes people will ask the AI to write an email for them, let's say, and it writes something that they don't like. Then they say it doesn't work. But the truth is, go ahead and ask it again. So it gave me some tweets that I didn't love. I then said, okay, write the 7 tweets and the 1 Instagram post again, focusing instead on the novelty of me having the Star Trek computer as a guest on my podcast. And that's when it did the tweets that I liked. So it came back and it said, okay, ever wondered what it would be like to have the Star Trek computer as a podcast guest? That's what I did. We brought this iconic AI to life in today's episode. And then all the rest of the tweets are nice. So that's just a little example of that. Some other things you can do. Again, imagine you're promoting your film or a podcast or any other production you've got going along. I used to do this one by one. I would finish the show, and then I had a lot of things I needed to do. I needed to write a description of the shows to show up on a podcast app, right? This is what this episode is about. Again, this could be similar to if you were working on a film, short documentary, long documentary, and you needed a synopsis, same deal. So I needed to have it do that. I needed to have it write tweets and an Instagram post like we saw. I needed it to create cover art, right? Again, it could be a poster for your film. And I would do those one at a time until eventually I realized I had figured out the best way to ask it to create the things I liked. And I just combined all those prompts, right? A prompt is what we call the sort of question you give or the direction you give, what you enter in the text box to say to ChatGPT is called a prompt. And I realized I could combine all of those requests into one document. And that's why you may remember in the previous document, it said, please do all of the things I ask you to do below and don't stop until you finish them. That actually comes from this one where I actually have a lot more things that I'm asking it to do. So let's just take a look at this. Again, as we saw before, I'm uploading here a transcript of a new episode, okay, of our podcast, and also a transcript, a second transcript of some bonus content I recorded as a separate piece. Do not stop until you have completed all the instructions below. And then I want to point out that when you get into asking ChatGPT to do a lot of stuff, it actually helps to organize your prompt, the message you're typing in to the AI. Organize it really carefully, just like you would if you were giving it to a person, frankly. If I was going to ask an assistant of mine to do something, I could just write a whole bunch. Well, do this and 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 do this, and then also make sure you do that, and then don't forget to do that. That would be okay, but it's sort of going to be a lot more helpful to them and ultimately to me in the end if I can say, okay, here's what I need you to do. Number 1, do this. Number 2, do that. Number 3, do that. So I begin by saying episode description as opposed to the bonus content, which is a separate thing. Episode description. This is ChatGPT. This is what I want you to do related to the episode description. Read the entire show transcript from start to finish. Note that the pertinent material is in the middle. And then based on the material you see in the middle of the transcript, write a fun description of the episode. Okay. And then I tell it who the audience is. Okay. So because this is a science podcast, write a fun description of the episode to entice scientists and lay people who enjoy learning about science to listen to it. Okay, so if you tell ChatGPT the audience that you're having it create something for, it helps tremendously. So again, think of your film and say, okay, this is the audience I imagine for my film. It doesn't have to be insanely specific. You can just try it and see how that goes. One thing sometimes I find that it does things I don't like over and over again. It would sometimes describe the style of the show. It would say, it's a hilarious show. So I'm just telling it, don't do that. So again, you can tell ChatGPT what you don't want it to do as well. Okay. And I'm not going to go into follow every single one of these. Basically, I'm really giving it very detailed instructions as to what I would like it to do. Okay. And then Patreon email, that's the bonus content I mentioned. That goes out to our Patreon supporters. And so I also need ChatGPT to write an email to those Patreon supporters telling them that this new bonus content is available for them to listen to. And so I have it do that. Okay. Again, I'm going to move on because I don't want to get too deep into here, but I'm happy to come back and talk more about this if you like. The last thing I just want to say before I move on is that, I'm going to stop sharing for a second. The biggest thing, if you took away only one thing from today about working with a large language model, it's that don't get hung up on what you say. I've met a lot of people who say, I can't work with it. I don't know prompt engineering, they'll say, because they've heard this term, or I'm afraid to use it, or, oh, I wish I just knew the exact right thing to say. Really, just the amazing thing about them is we no longer need to know arcane things like computer programming or coding, as you now call it. It's certainly, if you do, great, you can do some amazing things, of course, but it really has become much more accessible to us. So just ask it what you want and work with it like an assistant, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, okay? And don't accept what it gives you. Continue to work with it. I think all of us are probably, you know, perfectionists. That's how we get into this business anyway. But you can really work with it. I work with it for a long time. I often, when I'm in a writing phase, for instance, I might work with ChatGPT the entire workday for many, many days on end. So we'll do that. Okay. I'm going to move on. Any quick questions you want to throw in, Julie? Or
I think I was just going to say, for the longest time when I was first using it, I was copying and pasting, and I didn't even realize that you could just put your document in as an attachment.
right.
Like how link-
Actually, not only that, but if you upload it as an attachment by clicking the little paper clip that's at the bottom there,
yeah,
you can give it much more text than you would if you tried to paste it into the box.
yeah. And
Yeah.
then also just being able to say, make this better, make this funnier, make this more serious, speak as an expert
Yeah.
as you know, in this voice, being able to, or going in and saying, I like everything, but I don't like that you put signal the universe, take out that one line, but give me everything else. That was unbelievable that I'm not having to necessarily even, I can edit it within ChatGPT. That was crazy for me because I'm dyslexic.
Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah, yeah.
not having to just copy and paste what they gave me and then edit, I can actually say, take this out of what you just did and this and keep that and keep everything else.
Yeah.
And
No,
that,
it's really cool. And it's a different state of mind working in that mode. And I guess if most of the members of this group are, you know, producer directors of documentaries or films, it's kind of like working in director mode where you're really, like you said, you're typing, I suppose, but it's sort of like sitting back and asking someone to do this, do this, do this, do this. Oh, try that. Let's try that. You know, really have a free flowing thing about that. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to move on. I'm just going to stop here for 1 second on this site called Perplexity. All I want to say about Perplexity, perplexity.ai, is that it's kind of Google meets large language model. So many of the large language models, like including ChatGPT, can search the internet. That's what Perplexity is really designed to do, search the internet. But Perplexity does one thing that's pretty spectacular. So let me, Julie, what's something you want me to search on the internet? Something safe for work.
okay. What are the top 10 best film festivals in the United States?
Okay. Now watch what happens. Okay, so what are the top 10 film festivals in the United States? And I'm going to click the enter button. It immediately shows me the sources that it's pulling from. So you know that one of the downsides of many of the language models is that they make up stuff, they so-called hallucinations, also known as just mistakes or bald-faced lies. So you can't really trust a lot of times what if I ask ChatGPT, what are the top 10 best film festivals in the United States, it's going to give me a list. And it will give me some sources. It'll give me 1 or 2 or 3 sources. Perplexity is designed to just give you a ton right off this. It searches like a ton of websites all at once. So we see here, it's given me 3 sites and it shows view 5 more. So it's USA Today, The Culture Trip. I'm not sure what that is. Studio Binder. Let's view 5 more. So Film Freeway, that's a good site. You know, so I can sort of see where the information is coming from, which I find very helpful. And then here's my information. It then gives you, and Google does this too in a way, but it kind of gives me some nice follow-up questions at the bottom and allows me to keep going. So I'm just going to say that Perplexity AI, I would recommend. It's free. I don't even think you have to sign up to use it. You can just go. You might get some bonus things if you do sign up for it, but I would explore it. Just see what you think. It's a new site. All right. Now, here's a fun one. Let's get into some more multimedia stuff. This is one of the most bare bones websites I've ever seen since like 1992 on the web. And amazingly, for such a bare bones website, it comes from Adobe, our friends at Adobe. And what it's meant to do, it says enhanced speech. What it does is you can upload audio that sounds like crap and get back audio that sounds pretty amazing. Let's just take an example here. So I'm going to play, I'm going to turn off. So we're hearing the raw, we're going to hear the raw. Let me go to her for a second. Let's hear some of the raw sound, okay?
It is becoming a lot.
Oh, sorry. Let me make sure we are sharing sound. Yeah, we are. Okay, here we go.
More competitive. There's no doubt about it. You know, China's on the moon, China's on Mars, and it's kind of they will continue to advance.
So she's insanely off mic, right? Or very, very far off mic. This is an unfortunately common situation that crops up. We don't want it to happen, but in shooting documentaries in the field, this kind of stuff happens all the time. I thought her mic was, I thought I was connected to the soundboard, let's say. It turned out, no, you're not. You're only filming from the camera mic. This is what you wound up with. Well, up till now, in recent years, we can do noise cancellation. Everyone's familiar with that with your headphones, and you may have tried it in the mixing studio. So noise cancellation would...
And their technical capability.
Noise cancellation would remove the hum that's around her, okay? But her voice would still be very quiet. And the more I turned up the noise cancellation to try to make it sound cleaner, the more her voice is going to get distorted because I'm essentially removing frequencies from her voice. And I'd be left with a kind of not great. It would be better, but it wouldn't be great. Let's listen now. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to slowly turn up the AI filtering, and we're going to hear how her voice improves. So you see this dial at the bottom here. I'm going to start at 0. I'm just going to slowly bring it up.
I think space is one of those rare environments that is my personal opinion. Space is one of those rare environments where it's a lot easier to collaborate because we all share that space. We're not, we don't have territories. We don't have specific boundaries that are marking on territories. And so is it everyone's best interest to play by a certain set of rules when it comes to me in a space environment? But from a technical perspective, Alicia might have a little bit more.
Yeah, but what I would comment, I think what you're alluding to is the innovation part of it. With competition, it allows the companies to find a...
It got quite a bit better, and then it got a little bit worse, got a little bit distorted. So the sweet spot seemed to be right around here. Let's hear.
So we're getting out there. It is becoming a lot more competitive. There's no doubt about it. You know, China's on the moon, China's on Mars. And it's kind of,
this is awesome.
They will continue to advance in their technical capability. I think space is one of those rare environments that...
So it's pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing.
Amazing.
Yeah. What it does is the crude explanation is basically that, as I said, noise canceling would take out all the noise, which would also, unfortunately, remove a lot of the frequencies of the person. So the person would sound cleaner, but very quiet and a little bit hollow, right? A little bit like a telephone sound. What AI is able to do is actually refill in all those frequencies that we're missing. It looks at the little jagged, sound wave that remains after noise canceling, and then it says, "Oh, I know what you need," and it gives it all back. So when it really works really well, they sound as if they were recorded in a sound studio, in a booth, So it's pretty amazing. Does not work all the time, and it's nice that they give you this dial. You can also, I would say, once you do this, download it, bring it into your own edit program, whether it's Premiere or Avid or whatever your Final Cut, whatever you're using. I think, you'll want to keep the original sound there, and you want to have this improved sound next to it and sort of find a sweet spot in between them. Okay, so podcast.adobe.com. It'll be on your cheat sheet at the end. All right, images. Now adding color to our life. You've heard of probably Midjourney. It is, people often ask me, what's the best image generation website that's out there? And by far, there's not even any question. It's Midjourney for quality of aesthetics, okay? It doesn't do everything perfectly, but I will say just for the quality of things, the quality of the art that it generates, it's astounding. Let me just show you some examples of some things I've done. There's some, I don't know if she's in your, I don't think she's in your group, but there's a filmmaker actually I was talking to, I think she was in San Francisco and she was working on a film anyway, and she was asking, oh, she was thinking it'd be nice to make a poster for her film, and it involved, I don't know, it was like kids, you know, in a bus going cross country. Could we do anything with that? And so we typed in, all we did was type in toy bus on a paper map of the USA, and we got these rather lovely images, which really look insanely like toys, you know, like real, it looks like a physical image. That's kind of nice. Let me just show you some others. I really am interested in, because I do so many interview-based documentaries. Those are kind of the ones I love the most. With interview-based documentaries, you know, you've got, what are your images going to be beyond the talking heads? Well, you've got archival footage, you've got photographs, and then you've got B-roll, let's say, and then you've got this big blank spot, which you often still need to fill in with something else. And, you know, that could be reenactments or any of the incredibly wide range of things that fall loosely under the category of reenactments or illustrations, let's call it. So I was curious, could I create some images that I felt might be appropriate to be for documentaries? I wanted things that were not just, there's no shortage of kitschy material. Like the vast majority of this stuff, you know, is made by kids or people using their child's side, which I think is awesome. But, you know, it's just kind of sci-fi. It's kind of whatever. It's colorful, but it's not emotional, really. So I was wondering if I could come up with something that really I thought might really be able to tug at the heartstrings in a very, very dignified way. So this was pretty cool. I kind of came upon this, I don't know, I just started out imagining a family scene. And again, I don't know what these images mean exactly. It wasn't literally for a story that I was creating illustrations for, or, you know, reconstructed illustrations for. But I just sort of imagined a family in a rec room at night, and there was a serious discussion that needed to happen among the family members. Go this way. Here we go. Let's see. So again, this is pretty cool. I mean, these are not, obviously they're not actors, but it's kind of like, you know, if you've done your own photo shoot, you'll see if I zoom in real close, you're going to see, you know, some AI mistakes and things like that. But nonetheless, I just thought, I was kind of like, wow, these seem really pretty powerful, you know, things. So again, just kind of unusual. I don't know that you've seen a lot of people doing this kind of stuff with it, and I think we will shortly. Some other examples. Let me just see. Here's another one. So a friend of mine is making a film, and she had a scene where the main character was a woman who went on a drive and was dealing with a lot of a hard time in her life. And I think we had perhaps a photograph of the main character and just wanted to play with it. So this is not a literal this is not the photograph. And this, we're not changing the photograph. It's a totally new thing. It's an imagined image using the photograph as a source, which is kind of an amazing thing you can do. So in other words, imagine you had an actual photograph of a woman, you know, driving a car like this. You can literally just upload it to Midjourney. I would just hit the plus button here, upload it, and then I would tell it to, you know, show me an image of a woman driving in a car with her hair blowing in the wind. It will take that source photograph and start to give you iterations on it. So pretty cool. And that tees up something else I want to try. What if you wanted to make her hair move, right? Just fun looking at different glasses you get. So video. There's a video website called, a video generation website called Runway ML. I think the ML stands for machine learning. And you can upload an image to Runway ML and get it to animate it. So there's no reason why you couldn't create something in Midjourney, let's say, like that image we were just looking at, and upload that to Runway and, you know, just say the same thing, a woman driving a car, her hair blowing in the wind, and you get some, okay, so that's one. Let's see if we get others. Here's a better one. So not perfect. You would want to do a lot of work on it, but can you see that? Is it showing up? Yeah. It's pretty wild. What you can get simply by putting in the putting in a still image. That's kind of nice, actually. Let's see some other. Remember the bus driving across the map? Let's see what we got it to do here. Okay, this is interesting. It didn't actually take the, it didn't put the bus in motion, but it did do something that's actually pretty cool in and of itself, which is it gave it a handheld kind of feeling, you know, which adds to the kind of feeling of it being a real toy. That's pretty cool. Here's one driving a little bit. And doing nothing. Okay, so this is a great example. Sometimes sometimes it does absolutely nothing. And this is pretty much what it's like to work with AI. I think in general, you never know what you're going to get. Anytime you are seeing something amazing, if you are seeing something amazing that somebody's demonstrating to you, I can guarantee that just like any great art, that is the successful version of 100 unsuccessful versions, right? 100 different things and tweaks. But if you have patience and working in film, and any of the arts requires a lot of patience, the AI stuff, you know, I don't want you to think these are quick fixes and all these kind of things. Nonetheless, the ability to just sit here at your desk and type something you imagined in your head and have it appear is pretty, obviously that's kind of groundbreaking. I like cats, and I can never resist getting some images of cats. So this is a cat riding Amtrak. The cat looks a little bit like a husky dog, so kind of fun. But you could totally imagine that being a shot you use in a documentary, you know, kind of a fun. And I think we're already starting to see this stuff being used. All right, the video is kind of crude. Every month or so they release new versions, and it does get better. Many of you probably have seen this thing called Sora, which was demonstrated by OpenAI, the company that makes ChatGPT, among other fine products. And this is super high-end, pretty gorgeous video. They are much longer. So Runway and all the sites that are similar to Runway that exist now as you see, you get 4-second clips. Sometimes you can get 8-second clips. If you're lucky, you'll get a 10-second clip on some of these websites, but they're pretty short and they're a little bit choppy, and they're obviously, you know, there's a crudeness to them. Sora is like just super smooth. At the moment, it's not available to the public. They're simply teasing us with it. And I have a feeling that when it comes out, it's actually going to be very, very high end and very expensive. I could be wrong about that, but they're talking to Hollywood people right now about it. So it wouldn't surprise me if it just takes the place that, you know, like we have different levels of video cameras, right? You got the Arri Alexa up in the $80,000 range. I think Sora is going to be up there at that top end. Nonetheless, if you hadn't seen it, I'll just give you some quick examples here. Here's a woman walking in Tokyo. And even these are a little bit choppy because we're sort of watching it over the internet and you're seeing it over Zoom. So if you go to just Google Sora demos or something, and you go look at them by yourself for free at high quality in HD, pretty amazing. Here's another one. This one I can totally imagine appearing in some sort of National Geographic thing. It's these imaginary woolly mammoths. Again, just remember that this was done by just someone typing in this prompt: several giant woolly mammoths approach, treading through a snowy meadow. Their long woolly fur lightly blows in the wind as they walk. Da, 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 da. You typed it, you can see it. It's kind of mind-boggling. So I'll show you one more. This is quite interesting. Just the quality of the person. Actually, here's my favorite. This one I find incredible. I don't think you would ever know. Again, it's a little bit choppy as we look at it now, but you know, when you just imagine this being fully smooth, if you watch it yourself online, you would not know that this wasn't a drone shot of some imaginary lighthouse on the bay there.
And is there sound to these?
There is
videos?
not. There is not.
Okay.
There are some sites that are experimenting with that. So far, pretty bad. So far, pretty bad. So early days on creating syncs the sound that goes with it, but they're working on it. Yeah, good question. Okay. One last thing I want to show you before we open up for questions. Are we okay time-wise, Julie?
Yes, we are. Good.
All right, wonderful. There is a site called InVideo, ai.invideo.io. Again, it'll be on your cheat sheet. This thing is kind of insane because basically, again, this is what I'm doing today is a little bit like a cooking show. Everything is pre-prepared just to get through it a little bit faster than real time. So what you can do, though, on this website is you just begin with this blank line, okay? Just like ChatGPT, you got a blank line, you have no images at the beginning, right? I can type, I believe, what did I type for this? Here. Anyway, I can type in here, when I did this, the eclipse had just happened. I can say, make me a 2-minute documentary, informational video about solar eclipses. Okay. It will then, in a couple of minutes, render a fully done video. So it will write a script in text using ChatGPT 4, I think. So it'll write the text. It will then have a synthesized voice, a pretty high quality synthesized voice, read that script as the narrator. So it will essentially record the voiceover, we could say. It will compose a music score and add music to it. And it will then grab stock footage and put that on top, edited on top, and give you a fully edited video just like you asked for. It will be bad. I can guarantee that. It's pretty bad. but you can continue to tweak it. So, as an editor, I don't yet feel like this is taking my job away. Nonetheless, that's an interesting topic unto itself. But let's take a look at what it did. So this is what it did.
Nature has its way of showcasing its grandeur, and one such spectacle is the solar eclipse. An event as rare as it is beautiful, kind of like seeing a unicorn riding a rainbow. This cosmic ballet unfolds infrequently, yet when it does, it never fails to captivate. It's a celestial crescendo, where the moon plays hide and seek with the sun. And let's be honest, the sun is not very good at this game. A sight so mesmerizing, it has the power to unite people across the globe in awe, fascination, and the collective squinting of eyes. On April 8th, 2024, the world witnessed an extraordinary phenomenon, a total solar eclipse. This celestial dance, where the moon basically photobombed the sun in broad daylight, was visible across a broad swath of the planet, casting a shadow of awe and wonder. In Ohio and Arkansas.
Okay, and it goes on and on. I will end by just showing you what you can do then. Essentially, you could literally act like a director, sitting with an editor and an animator and a composer all at your beck and call, as we say. And I would say, for instance, I'm just going to say, change the music to classical music, change the narrator to female, and make the tone more serious. Okay, and then I just hit generate. And that's going to take a second. So you see right now it says switching to classical music. It updated tracks, changing narrator to female voice.
And all the images are fair use, right? Or
no. So the way it works is they are all, you can see logos on there for like Shutterstock and stuff like that. When you have to have a subscription to use this, or at least to download a finished version. And when you do, just like when you use any stock music website, you license it, at a certain level, right? Oh, here we go. Sorry. We changed the voice. We're setting a more, now when I said setting a more serious tone, it's generated script. It's rewriting the whole script. Okay. And so I'll show you when we go what it does. Basically, when you go to checkout, you purchase the, see, it says you get a license for the stock media used at export. So it's, you have to have a plan of some kind, a subscription plan.
And with Midjourney, is the footage, and Runway, is the footage that you're getting fair use or public domain with that?
So it is, first of all, let me just play this and then let's just see how this turned out.
Still themed. Its magnificence through various phenomena, and the solar eclipse is a prime example of such spectacle. This event, both rare and breathtaking, unfolds infrequently but captivates all who witness it. During a solar eclipse, the moon obscures the sun in a celestial interplay, capturing the attention of observers worldwide with its awe-inspiring view. On April 8th, 2024, the world observed an extraordinary astronomical event.
It's not bad as a YouTube video or something. It's okay. Now, you hit edit. When you hit the edit button, now you can go in, you can change the script yourself. You can go into any of the shots and change them manually to something else. You can change the timing of it. So you can get in there and really start to work with it. And I haven't had the time to do it yet, but I'm really curious to sit here, and I know that, if you put some time in, you can make something pretty cool. So as they say with AI, if it doesn't look that great to you now, remember that this is the worst it's ever going to be, right? So keep improving. So yeah, so that's kind of just a glimpse at the crazy world that is unfolding in our computers.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
right? Okay, so we're going to go to questions, if that's okay, if there's anything particular that, and Amy is going to be handling questions today.
Yes. Wow. Philip, that was amazing. I
Oh,
just
great.
wanted to say, I think that Audrey Williams sums it up for many of us. She put in the comments just a moment ago, I've learned more in this session than in 1 year. Thank you.
Oh, right.
Bravo.
Great.
I was looking for the little my head is exploding emoji. So thank you so much. My world is different today than it was an hour ago. So thank you so
Awesome.
much. I'm
Yeah.
going to go ahead and call on folks, actually, since it looks like we do have time for people to ask their own questions. The first two people who had raised their hands, but I don't know what your questions are, or if they've been answered yet. Mona, if you still have your question, would you like to unmute and ask your question?
And if people, I'll just say, if people can come back on camera, it's always nice to see faces after
Absolutely.
talking about robots all this time.
Yeah, sorry. I actually, my answer question was answered. Thank you so much. I'll take my hand down.
Great, thank you. And Blanche, also, do you have a question and are you able to be on camera?
I don't have a question. But thank you.
Blanche, is that actual, are those film reels?
Yes,
I'm very excited by that.
me too.
I was actually wondering whether it was a stock photo, but bravo again. So Kate Schemmerhorn, would you like to ask your question about Instagram posts?
I know I was just, I think, I don't think that ChatGPT generates images, but I just wanted to double check. Oh, it does. Okay.
It
So
absolutely does. In fact, let me show you real quick. In fact, it's an excellent alternative. So Midjourney is not easy to use, I will say. In fact, it's probably one of the hardest. It's getting better, but it's just sort of weird, a little bit complicated. When you're in ChatGPT, if you're in ChatGPT 4, if you're on the paid plan, then at the top on the left, you'll see a bunch of different options, and one of them is called DALL-E. DALL-E used to be a separate thing. It's now just incorporated in ChatGPT, and that's their image generation program. What's an image you'd like to see?
I don't know, somebody skateboarding on the Eiffel Tower.
Excellent.
I don't know where that came from.
Those are the best kinds of images.
You're obviously a filmmaker.
Yeah. What I want to show you is the real difference in style. It's a very different style. However, here's what I can say is it doesn't have the beautiful artistic style that Midjourney has, nor the range of, Midjourney can do an astounding array of styles. I mean, Midjourney can make anything if you take the time. The stuff for DALL-E, it tends to be a little bit more cartoony, so, okay, so someone's skateboarding. So you can see it feels a little bit Pixar-like. And so DALL-E's images tend to have that sort of Pixar feel or a comic book feel or something like that. However, it does a really good job of following what you asked for. Midjourney, perhaps because it can do so many things, it doesn't often interpret your words as literally as you want sometimes, whereas DALL-E does a pretty great job at that.
Well, my original question related to images in ChatGPT was when you're telling it to generate an Instagram post, like how does that look? Is that images?
It's the same thing. Yeah, it's actually, sorry, when I was asking it to generate to do an Instagram post, I was talking about text. So I was asking it to write the caption for an Instagram post. Although I do also have it create the cover art for the show. So I just say create cover art. I wasn't specifying Instagram or anything like that. So yeah, nothing particularly different.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Maureen Lynch, would you like to come on camera and mic and ask your question?
Sure. I think it was mostly answered, but I was looking just for a little more on rights, and especially in sort of AI created images.
Yeah. So here's where we stand. It is insanely in flux. the large AI companies, Microsoft, Google, OpenAI, maybe some of the others, Anthropic, have said that they will defend you if somebody comes after you, you know? So imagine if, you know, somebody said, hey, that music sounds like my music. I'm suing you. OpenAI will take on the legal case and you'll be spared. Is that really going to happen? We don't know. I mean, that's where we're at. But basically anything is, for all intents and purposes, like Julie asked, is it fair use? What is it public domain? What AI creates? If an AI generated image does belong to you on pretty much all the websites. So anything you make with Midjourney, it's yours. I think that when it comes to selling your film that incorporates some of these things to, you know, large networks and broadcasters and things like that, I think over the next year or two, we're going to start to see a lot of flux in terms of how much are they going to, you know, what is your E&O? Does your E&O insurance cover the fact that you used AI? We'll see how it goes. Yeah.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah.
As a follow-up to that, Shane, this is Amy. Do you know where people might be able to follow the legalities regarding the use of AI in film?
You know, I would say, do you know, like Julie, do you know Pat Offer Heidi? I think, is that her name?
I don't, I know Jack Lerner at UCI Law Clinic, and I know these law clinics, they are constantly posting the new cases and the new things that are coming that are cutting edge and what the Supreme Court has just voted on. You know, I had images in my film of celebrities that were fair use. And then a case happened with the Supreme Court and UCI came in, my lawyer's there, Jack Lerner, who specializes in fair use for films, came on and said, you have to rip all these out now because the law changed. And we had him in the film for 3.5 years. So he's on LinkedIn. He's constantly posting the new laws. You can follow him on Twitter. He's constantly posting anything that's changing so that if you have something that's already in your film and it was under one law and it changes. But I mean, Philip's right. It's going to be changing fast and soon.
Yeah, let me, I'll post it again here. So Pat Off.
Thank you, Philip, for posting that. That's great. And also thank you.
So Pat has, I've been on many panels with Pat over the years. In fact, she has, she and the center she runs is like one of the main places to go for fair use information, no matter what, like going back 20 years. They publish what do they call it? Best practices, guidelines, and all kinds of stuff, like super helpful. And so she's been keeping up with this as well. So I would say, you know, sign up for their mailing list and go ahead and even just email her if you have questions.
Great, thank you. The next question is from one of my fellow board members, Kelly, who has a question about alpha versus beta versions. Kelly.
Well, I just went to the Midjourney website when you were on that, and it looked like you said alpha, and then I've never played with it at all. So since you said it was hard, maybe I won't. But is it? Do we just join the beta version and then can you play with it, or?
So the reason it's let me go back to that for a second. Where's my share button? Here we go. Okay, so Midjourney. So this Midjourney Alpha, you see that there. You're probably looking at that. What's happening with Midjourney is Midjourney began on Discord. I don't know if you're familiar with Discord. It's like and it's still on Discord. And they've only recently created a web version. The web version is absolutely going to be the place to use it. I mean, it's easier. But it's called alpha just because it's new. So Midjourney itself isn't really alpha at all. Just they're saying this website is a little bit. But I would say also, I think you can only use the website if you have created more than 100 images in Midjourney using Discord to start with. However, if you've never used Midjourney and you got to the website, if it lets you use the website, just go ahead and try it. Yeah, I mean, it couldn't be easier. You just type in stuff, you know, I could just type in anything here, right? An airplane made of Swiss cheese, and I'll get that in a moment. But when I say complicated, just in terms of the amount of things you can do with it is extraordinary. There's just a lot of jargon you kind of you learn to do it, but yeah.
And Maureen Lynch was asking about royalty for your licensing. I think, Maureen, has your question been answered, or did you have anything further?
No, thank you.
Okay, great. And on to another fellow board member, Neil Unerdem, who wants to discuss also about images.
Yeah, I just wanted to say these tools are really helpful. You know, if you obviously, like, when you use them, people know that you're using AI. But then, you know, like Netflix released this true crime documentary that actually used AI and kind of fooled people into thinking that there was this photograph that was real. So I just want to talk about, like, are there, you know, ethical guidelines around how AI is used in documentaries, because we obviously trust the filmmaker of a documentary and kind of trust what's in there as like being presented is real. And so it can get complicated when anything from like true crime to nature documentaries to whatever, like, that we know that those images are real or AI.
Yeah, I don't think it's anything new, honestly. You know, this has existed ever since, you know, anytime you're making a documentary, you could film B-roll, that looks like your film, right? And there have been filmmakers that push the limits of that. In general, the people who violate these things, or the violations that crop up, are like 1 out of 100,000 or something, right? It's like, because it's so rare. My guess is, I don't know for sure, but I'm going to guess that what happened with that Netflix thing was that they were like, they knew it was not real, and they thought everyone else could tell it wasn't real. You know, I don't know if they were trying to push the limits.
Yeah, they didn't, and they were. There was a picture with the woman's photo. Her hand was messed up, so someone pointed out that it was AI, and then they came out and said, "Yes, we created this AI photograph."
There's nothing wrong using AI any more than using Photoshop, or simply, you know, using archival footage to look like it was newsreel. You know, you can, anyway, there are filmmakers like James Marsh made Man on Wire, which is an amazing film. And he's very well known for sort of incorporating stylized footage, let's call it, you know, reenactment, made up, illustration, stuff like that. I do that all the time. All of us do that, you know, I think. And I think that we all tend to do it in a way where it's obvious, there's no mistaking that that's the thing. Like, we set up very early in the film, the first time you introduce those elements, you introduce it in a way that indicates this is what we're doing now. This is the grammar for when we're doing something that we as filmmakers are showing you because we had nothing else we could show you, right? So I think just always be careful of that. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Sorry. But it's obvious when it is stylized, but there may be people who use it for, you know, trying to hide stuff like this, like what happened there. So I just think, you know, people should still be aware that it can be used to sometimes kind of, you know, rewrite history.
It's going to be, it's already happening. And this is where, yeah, I mean, we just another sidestep out of documentary, but just sort of in news and social media, you know, we're in the next week, you're going to see more and more and more manufactured images, to the point where we're just going to learn, as we always do, I think, we just learn to be critical. We learn how to figure it out, you know. And to their credit, Adobe and OpenAI and Google and Microsoft and others are working on also trying to come up with ways to encode information in the images that make it clear that it's AI. So, but yeah, definitely stay frosty, as they say.
And we have a question from Heather Fries.
Hi. Um, Actually, I'm going to add. I'm a writer and a 3D modeler.
Ooh.
Animation visual effects.
Yeah.
And there is a huge conversation on my end of the industry as to how I'm going to be replaced by this. Now, first and foremost, for anybody out there, I do better work than any computer can. Because as a hairdresser of 27 years, I know how to infer when I'm speaking and we're talking to each other. What we're talking about with when you're doing chat GPT and when you're doing all these other programs, what he was talking about is called reiteration. If you don't get the answer you want, then you have to ask and you have to ask and you have to ask and you have to ask for it to redo those things. And that's wonderful. I'm actually, as an artist, I was absolutely opposed to this, 100%. And then I started seeing it used as a tool. But see, humanity has proven that it is not capable of deciphering whether a tool is valuable or whether it should be the self. So that's, I think, a lot of us out here who do the production, we would use this as filler. Like if you're doing a pitch book, if you're doing, you know, if I'm pitching a movie, I can use any of these things, and what we call it is visual development. These make it easy for me to do that. I don't have to go out and I don't have to get a concept artist, and I can literally create these things on my own. You can create them in Photoshop with their AI. So it's a wonderful thing. But then when you're coming down to actually selling to a producer, I would say stick to the people who know, because I want to see originality. At least me, we do pride ourselves in the art world about originality. And I'm not talking about, do we step on toes of the fathers that came before us? Yes, I learned how to do all of my art from reproducing, not necessarily. I did my version of all of these greats, right? I have a master's in fine art. I had to, you know, sculpt. I had to do every form of every media of art, and it was awesome, and I loved it. But what I loved the most was when I did my thesis, it was mine. And it's original to me. And human voice is the most important voice. So that concern I've heard now 3 times. And just in this talk, but in every single talk that I've had in the last 2 years, there has been, like, if you go on ArtStation right now, you will see thousands of people who say no AI. Do not. And what that means is that ArtStation has said, if you post this, it won't be searched. So, because that's what was happening. It's just, you know, when Midjourney first came out, and we started seeing our stuff.
Thank you. Thank you for bringing us into the, I'm gonna wrap you up in a minute, but thank you for bringing us into the conversation.
No problem. Everybody else answered my questions, and I really thank you for your patience and
thank
my
you
passion
for
about it.
keeping this dialogue alive in terms of originality. Yep.
I would just add real quick that ultimately the human in the loop is the only one who can the human has the artist, let's say, the human artist is the one who has taste, you know, and has an eye, has a photographic eye, has an eye for composition, has an eye for whatever it is, and ultimately has an eye for meaning. The computer can generate thousands and thousands of versions of things, and every one of them can look really cool. But the only one that makes a difference is the one that fits within the meaning of the piece you're making. And so the human has to be the one to do that. I think ultimately we will start to see computers that also decide this is the meaning of a piece and then generate things and all that stuff. But ultimately it has to be a human is the one who, and I again, I feel like that's a bit of job security. The artistic eye, the trained artistic eye, you know, is priceless. So.
Yeah. In the same way that going back, photographers face the same struggle with being taken seriously as artists following paintings. Yep. We keep reiterating creativity. Deb had a question regarding best animation sites.
Hello, Deb.
Deb, I'll go ahead and ask because sometimes people cannot turn on their microphone. Deb asks, do you recommend a site that's best for AI animation?
I am here, and I'm just going to add, I feel so bad asking that question following the last speaker. But anyway, I'll put it out there anyway. Thank you for saying it for me.
Do you mean different from Runway, or what, a different kind of animation, or?
Yeah, I mean more like hand-drawn style or
Right.
things.
So all you have to do in all of the art, one thing that I couldn't demonstrate is that in Midjourney, in Runway, and in all their variants, all their friends and fellows, you can create in any style you want.
Okay.
Cubist, pencil and paper. I mean, you can come up with really one. And I'll give you, here's a quick pro tip for everybody. If you don't want to just go to any of those websites, you'll see you'll see samples shown to you. Here's a gallery of stuff that people have made. If you see anything you like, click on it, and usually it'll show you what they typed in there to get that thing, and that's a good start for you to try to get that too. So,
thank you.
Yeah. It's great for storyboards, by the way, for instance. Yeah.
Okay, our next question comes from Mercedes.
Hi. Yeah.
Hey.
I have a quick question. Actually, I posted something on the chat because I remember, but I'm not 100% sure about another workshop that I heard about ChatGPT. So my understanding is that when you download a document, that belongs then to ChatGPT, so you can use it. That's the question. Anything that you can load as an attachment, but because that was the beginning of your presentation, right? You mentioned
download or upload?
As an attachment. When you add
But do you mean I give it to ChatGPT or I get it from ChatGPT?
No. Give it to ChatGPT. When you were mentioning that is an additional convenience, let's put it like
right. Yeah.
That instead of copy paste,
yes,
you have the button on that you can add it as an attachment, the document. Right. So my question is, I'm pretty sure that once that you attach, do you download something as an attachment, then ChatGPT can use it.
You can ask ChatGPT that question.
Well,
yeah, but it won't give. By the way, any question you ask ChatGPT, you don't trust the answer. I would go to Google for that or find a real document. But in terms of use it, it's up in the air. It's in the sense that anything you use with Google Docs could be used by Google in some way. So it's not overtly being, they're not taking your document or anything like that. But if you're really concerned, the thing to do is, if there is a more secure version you can use, and you have to have a Teams account. So if you get a Teams account, which starts out at twice, in other words, the pro account is $20 a month. I think the Teams account is $50 a month and starts at $50 a month for 2 people. But when you're using that, then they give you a promise, an explicit promise. Like they will say, we don't train on anything you enter. They'll say anything you enter, we don't train on that. Do they not? Who can be sure? But with the Teams account, it's the same as what you get from Microsoft or anyone else that has an enterprise account, where they say, we definitely don't use your material. Okay. The truth is, I'm not sure I would believe any of it. I mean, if you're really, really concerned. For instance, by the way, I don't upload documents for, I'm working on 1 or 2 documentaries right now where I'm developing them about kind of famous people, and I have, special access to them, and I've done interviews with them, which are private and personal. I don't upload those to ChatGPT.
Right. It's because, I remember that workshop I was mentioning, it was done by experts. It was not just, it was, and So yeah, I'm pretty sure they said 100% they can use anything. And mainly I wanted to let people know because not many people is aware of that. So
but the question is what use, when you say use, I just want it to be really clear because I can imagine someone thinking use mean my document is going to somehow be available to other people or whatever. There isn't, now you may, by the way, you may be confusing with, there's a whole nother mode, which I haven't gotten into at all, where you can create things, you can create little apps called mini GPTs or custom GPTs, where you put something in there and you're offering that app to other people, then for sure, and this may be what they were talking about, the document that you've included there absolutely is literally available to other people. I mean, that's the whole reason you put it in there, but you should know that you did that, you know?
Actually, I have the link. I will again
sure.
Revise that, but no, I'm pretty sure no, it's 100% related to ChatGPT attachment. So basically it's that they can use the information. Maybe they won't use the document copy paste, but they can use the information. So my memory is that when you decide to attach any kind of information in your question to ChatGPT, ChatGPT can use that information contained on that attachment. That's I just wanted mainly at least that people to hear that because
important.
A lot of people are not aware of that. And on that note, also I was wondering, that is 100%, I'm wondering, I have no idea if the same thing could happen with the applications that, the applications that you mentioned that using videos, that if you download a clip of your own video, right? That the one you were mentioning with a woman with the
right. So to be clear,
they can use it as well. I have no idea.
Right. What I'm saying is don't trust anybody. Honestly, even if they said to me they're not using it, I wouldn't trust it. So if it's something that helps me filter, do I care? Do I not care? There are definitely things I care about that I'm just like, you know, I'm not even gonna put this in Google Docs or Google Drive, you know. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You had me all over the internet. I was looking everywhere, Mercedes, for answers.
Right. And I don't know, I assume I'm not the only person in this room who, this is Amy, who has not had all of my information hacked a million times. I have, you know, by every employer I've ever worked for, basically at this point, and my bank and my medical insurance company. So yes. So like Philip said, any information that's at all anywhere being held by anybody can at some point be taken and used for, you know, purposes you might not intend them to.
Unless it's, you know, I something like Dropbox or something like that where it's an encrypted thing. Like I do keep my tax forms, my tax documents in my Dropbox. Okay, now everyone knows that, but I think most people do, you know, because it's really, you know, they're putting an enormous amount of security in there. So, but the truth is, yeah, anything you're paying nothing for, or you're paying a small amount for, and isn't designed around security, then you should be cautious. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We have, I believe one last question from another fellow board member, Diane Walsh.
All right.
Hi, Philip. Thank you so much for this information. It's so valuable. This is I come out of higher ed and in a film program teaching screenwriting. And so I just started having conversations with a lot of colleagues about the change that's going to have to happen in higher ed, because right now we are people who learned one way, and we're trying to incorporate a tool into our little kit that we use and try to do it that way. I'm just wondering, because it's going to happen fast with a university and students coming out. Do you see AI filmmaking being the name of the program now, or in terms of universities and how they're teaching? Do you see it still as a tool, just like any other filmmaking tool, or is it just a different look at how to make a film and documentary?
I would just call it, you know, it's more like a meta tool in a way, just because it encompasses many tools. But I think it's still just filmmaking, right? I mean, it's the storytelling is what
Mhm.
it's all about, and all the other stuff is just the illustration of the story. I love that you teach. I also teach screenwriting and writing for documentaries as well, and I'm very steeped in story structure and all that kind of stuff. And I love using ChatGPT. And by the way, I'll just throw out there one thing I love to do, which is crazy, is I can say to it, I'd like you to play the role of Robert McKee, right? Or I'd like for you to play the role of Christopher Vogler, you know, or a world-renowned expert in the hero's journey, or both. Or I'll then even say, you know, let's say I'm working on my log line or synopsis or whatever, it's something, treatment. I literally will say, okay, I'm now would like you to create a writer's room with this filmmaker and this filmmaker and this filmmaker and this filmmaker and this filmmaker. And I want you to pass the idea from one person to the next, and it'll say, oh, okay, so Martin Scorsese picks up your treatment and he says, well, there should be more of this and more of that, and he hands it to Steven Spielberg, and there's just crazy stuff you can do, which is insanely fun, creative, and smart. I will say that Robert McKee I would support possibly a legal case he could bring against ChatGPT and the others, because they know the book story backwards and forwards. So his own book is being used in it, you know. So anyway, but you were asking, will it be called, I don't think it would be called AI filmmaking, only in the way that for a little while, maybe we called it digital filmmaking or something like that. But
that's fine. Thanks. It's just it's evolving in terms of the discussions and how a program approaches filmmaking. Is it the same with this extra tool? It's all that's just going to continue on.
The things that Aristotle laid down are still the most important, you know.
I totally agree.
Things of that type.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, it comes down to not being so afraid of this. I do know I was asked to be on a board of a college recently, and I listened into all the different companies, all the different people that are on the board, and they were doing their programming, and every single person was discussing AI and how they're implementing it, including the school, and what classes they're now going to be teaching and what degrees they're actually going to be giving in AI. So, and this was a filmmaking class. So at the end of the day, it's like you learn this and like you do any tool, and you grow, and you don't become a dinosaur, which we all are really good at having to evolve within this industry. You know, when I started, it was film, and, you know, then we went to HD, and we keep evolving, or we die. You know, those are our choices. And so we can scream about it. But I also think, you know, it's really important. Some of the points like Mercedes is bringing up, and some of the other points that some of the other panels brought up, just on safety. And as Philip said, know what you're willing to share in this world and what you're not, so that, you know, just come in thinking it could happen. So, but at the end of the day, this is like an amazing tool. So happy we got to, you know, get some knowledge today on this. You know, it's pretty remarkable. Is there any last questions?
I don't see any in the chat nor any raised hands. So
if I can give some closing thoughts of you. It's good time. So three quick things. One, pro tip, again, just to remind you, or to specify a little bit more clearly, when you're using the large language models, ask it to play a particular role of the kind of help you'd like to get. That's always super fun. And tell it who is the audience for the thing it's writing. It might be just you, which is fine. But, you know, if you give it basically what the role you'd like it to assume, and then tell it who it's making something for, you're going to be a lot closer to getting what you want out of it. And then just don't stop. Just keep going with it till you get what you want, and do have fun with it. Secondly, I think of these things as, like we have word processors, and I think of the AI as basically not just the language models, but in all of these things, the image makers and image generators and all that stuff too. Instead of word processors, these are like idea processors. We give them ideas, and then they shape those ideas into other things. That is not something we've ever had before. That is an amazing thing to kind of play with. Just like though, when we're living through something that is akin to when the personal computer first arrived in our offices and our homes. A lot of people hated them. A lot of people were afraid of them. They were very expensive and they were very crude. We are seeing all of that now, but they're going to change our world in just the way the computer itself changed our world. This is going to be another thing. And so lastly, I just say that this arrival of AI is not just equivalent to when digital technology first arrived, and we see how much that changed the world. But I really think it's like when electricity arrived. No one could have foreseen that in just a very short period of time, when electricity arrived, that suddenly there were airplanes, there were electric trains, there was rockets to the moon. I mean, God knows what. So I think the things we're going to see are going to be really incredible. And the more things are easier to use at the beginning when they're simpler. So this is a good time to get involved with it. And I also do believe that there may very well be a lot of shakeups in the employment. We don't know. I think a lot of new jobs are going to be created as well, but nonetheless, if you're the one who knows how to use it, if you're the one that knows how to communicate with the AI, if you're the one who can sit down, like you could sit down at a piano and play it very poorly. If you could sit down at a piano and play something beautiful, so if you can sit down at ChatGPT and suddenly get it to give you things that are amazing that other people are not, you're going to be the one that stays, at the head of the pack. So I think that's always good. I'll put my information in the chat, and always feel free to reach out to me. And when you have used it a lot, I have a weekly Zoom gathering that I've started for people who are very experienced with using this stuff, called AI Cafe, and I hope to see you there at some point. So.
Everything you just said, it's the reason why when I first heard you and Basil's Hawk, the whole third industrial revolution, the whole electricity, that this is comparable to that as an invention.
Yeah.
I have to say that was mind-bending to me, and I really, just wow. It's a great afternoon to have you here, and I think we all at Women in Film really thank you, and we can't thank you enough, because your knowledge, your insight, and also just your kindness and saying, hey, come to this cafe, this Zoom cafe, come to check out What the If, your podcast, and then your leaflet that you're giving today. We really appreciate you just demystifying and helping us to advance. And because it's really important. And there's this tidal wave of information regarding AI that's pretty scary at first, but the more I've gotten into it and the more I've used these, I always want to call them like platforms or these artificial intelligence, I feel a lot safer. And when I don't know something, I just reach out and ask Philip. And I'm lucky enough to be able to do that sometimes. I don't bug him a lot, but I try not to. Anyways, don't forget the links in the chat. Make sure you save your chat so that you can get that link, that take home. And I also want to share a few things before we log off. We are launching our Women in Film San Francisco Bay Area merchandise. So please, check that out. The links in the chat. And I have to say, it's amazing quality. That was something I was concerned about. Very cozy and very soft inside. So once you get something from the department or from the merchandise, you'll see, you'll be like, oh, she's right. We have in June a writing workshop with Lauren McKenna. And so if you join us, an engaging writing workshop featuring Lauren and the renowned screenwriter, she's a renowned screenwriter, and she's known for her work on the popular podcast, The Screenwriting Life with Meg Lavav. And this event is it's a pretty fantastic opportunity in that it's really for inspiring writers to learn from one of the best in the industry. And the date is going to be on June 5th at 6:30. And Amy's going to put that in the chat as well. And I want to thank all of our members and non-members for joining us today. We extend our gratitude to all of our board members and our volunteers and all of our community partners for helping us. And again, that was Video Industry Network event, Women in Film, California Film Institute, New York Women in Film, Women in Film Video New England, and even Philip, I saw you were posting about this, and all of our board was posting. And so thank you, everyone. And Philip, just again, heartfelt thank you for your generosity, your knowledge, and your kindness. And
Julie, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Appreciate it. Everybody have a good weekend. Enjoy your weekend. I don't know about you guys, but I need a weekend. Travel, could do some stuff. So
We actually have Veronica Gammas who has raised her hand. I don't know, Veronica, if you had any something important you want to share.
No, I'm so sorry. I accidentally clicked on it.
Okay, you're giving us a high five goodbye.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Thank you. This is awesome. Appreciate you all.
Thank you all.
Thank you all. Amy, big shout out to Amy. Big special. Yes, thank you, Amy, so much for handling all of that. Bye, everybody. Good night.
Good night.
Good afternoon. Good night. Drive safe. That's a joke. No one ever gets it. You laugh from Philip. Thank you. Thank you. But
I remember drive safe.
Drive safe. Oh my gosh, I had to shut my window, so I had to jump back.